Before we start today's podcast, I just wanted to give a general disclaimer. This is not therapy, and this is not a replacement for primary care. This is a podcast that has an interest in mental health awareness, and I'm also studying to be a therapist, but that is not what this is. So I hope you enjoy our program, and now let's tear into it. Welcome back to the podcast. We've taken a little break. My name's Ilya Waterman, and this is my esteemed guest.
Hi, Giovanna.
Perfect. And then if you want to do, I don't know if you want to do like the pronouns or any introduction.
Yeah, what do I have to say? Giovanna, white woman, she, her. I don't have a whole too much going on there, I guess.
Yeah, it's okay.
Bisexual.
Ooh.
Like every white woman in Seattle.
Yes. And like every white woman bisexual in Seattle, you're also dating a man. Just kidding.
That is true. But he is actually a little gay boy.
Yeah. He's
Bi
precious.
boy.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, welcome to the podcast. We're here to just talk about anything to do with like wellness or creativity. I know you as an artist just from my table. So we played D&D together where I DM, and I've seen some of your portraits of your characters.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah. So I was just curious, like, do you like to practice a lot of art in your spare time, or like what's your relationship with art?
Yeah, I think I've always enjoyed painting and drawing, and when I was in school, that was the class that I loved the most. And when I was a senior, I think I had 3 art classes and then 1 econ or something like that. So it's always been something I've enjoyed. And then drawing in particular, and character sketching and drawing whoever I'm dating and myself or different, people in my life. Right now I'm taking an impressionist painting class, which is, I think I showed you last time. My bit of a failure there. So I've been trying to branch out and do different stuff.
Okay.
But
so usually like characters, it sounds like, is more your art is centered around.
I think just because that's what's easiest for me to draw, because we stare at our own faces so much in reflections. And then doing this impressionist class, and I took a watercolor class as well recently. That's kind of been helping me branch out a little bit more.
To try different things.
Because I think, portraiture is fun, but also landscapes are really nice. Yep. I love color.
I usually hate doing landscapes, so that's usually why I lean into doing landscapes. It's like I'm one of those artists where it's like, oh, I hate doing this, so I'm going to do it a lot.
Yeah, you're very good as well. For the people listening, Ilya's my DM, and we drew some of our characters and revealed them to each other, which was very fun.
Where it was kind of like, how do you see your character versus how do I see your character? So that was fun.
And some of the other characters.
One, he's slowly not becoming a person anymore. He's just like a robot.
He's getting his little legs replaced by little spidery robot legs.
And his arm.
It's very fun.
There have been tragic things with poor Blistifer Collins.
Blistifer Collins.
I know. What a name.
Blistifer Timmons.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's Timmons.
Is it?
Oh, I feel bad.
I don't even know. Whoops.
Sorry, Ryan, if you're listening.
Sorry, Ryan. Mr. Klug. Dang. Perfect. And then I just, to route into more like, I know we'll talk more about like wellness and, more of our therapy journey maybe later, but just to kind of like give us a little taste of it, like, do you have is your primary, what care looks like for you, is it primarily like going to see, like, would a therapy be more therapeutic for you, or would it be like going on like a hike, going outside? Like, what's your, because you're kind of a Renaissance girl, I want to say, because like you do a lot. You have very varied interests, and you and your partner like do a lot, so it's cool.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of taking care of myself and therapy and stuff like that, in my adult life, I've been to many different therapists. I found art to be helpful as a way of expression. More recently, in the last couple years of living in Seattle, I've gotten into 12-stepper. So
Ooh.
group therapy. So
Yeah.
that was something that's been really helpful to me. The one that I go to is ACOA, which is Adult Children of Alcoholic and Dysfunctional Families.
Whoa.
There's other ones that might resonate with folks, like CODA, Codependence Anonymous is one a lot of my friends go to.
Oh, wow.
But that has been the most helpful thing as of recently. And then the other thing more recently that I've been doing is seeing like a chronic pain therapist, because that's something that's come up for me in the last couple years that has been pretty challenging to navigate.
Okay. Is that like physical body?
Yeah. So for me, it's like pelvic pain, which is a bit difficult because it's, not only is it just pain that you feel, in varying levels day to day. Some days it's bad, some days it's not so bad. But, things like wearing clothes and sitting or riding a bike or swimming or having sex, like it's all impacted. So that was something that I'm still working to kind of come to terms with my therapist, and kind of just learning how to navigate it. I took a break. I actually graduated from therapy last year. And I recently went back. Because I was like,
for some continued education.
I need a little, refresher.
Okay.
So
nice.
Yeah, those are kind of two of the, in terms of therapy, the things that I do a little more often.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite talking points because I was discussing this with friends about if therapy, whether or not it has a deadline. Like, right? Like timing's very important.
Yeah, and the graduating, I was definitely like, my therapist brought it up and I was like, I don't know about that, but it was actually kind of cool because she had me do a plan of, the skills that I've learned, writing everything down, and having like a physical kind of, one of the things we did is I made an actual toolkit. So I wrote down some of the stuff that I'd learned to kind of help cope, when the pain is flaring, like things that I can do to kind of help quiet my mind and kind of meditative practices. And so I had like a physical little box that I could go to. Yeah. Or just even if I think about it, then I can remember some of the things. And then the other helpful thing in that graduation plan was writing, how do I know I need to come back? And that was, more in the last couple of weeks. I've been like, okay. Some of those things are pinging off for me. So I think I should go back.
That's so helpful. Like that's a great way to approach it too.
Yeah. And I've never gotten to the point where I graduated before. So I don't know if that's typical or not, but it's what my therapist did. I've never heard
that term, but I love that.
Yeah.
Interesting. I wonder, because I'm just entering my graduate school journey. So I'm just curious, like, everyone's methodology is totally different. Everything's picked up. Kind of people find what serves them well and carry that on. Some, so it's just interesting to see what all of our experiences with our own therapists and journey,
Yeah. I'm curious when you started or you decided to pursue your master's and become would it be a clinical counselor?
So I want to be a licensed art therapist is what I'm going for now.
Did you have certain experiences with your own, therapies that made you want to go that way?
Not my own therapies. It was more my general reaction from people. So I always found from even a super young age, someone said this to me recently. Your face is very approachable. So I could just be standing anywhere and people will come up to me and they'll like divulge like heavy truths about their lives. And for a long time, I didn't know what to do with that. Like, I was just like, what? Like,
I think I had a decent amount of that as well, but it was probably because I was a young woman hanging out at bars a lot.
Yeah. So similar, but like I really enjoy it. So like when people come up to me and like give me like a big slice of their life pie and I have to like, and it's not that they're maybe like looking for like the answer, you know what I mean? Like people just, sometimes do that. But like what I really found not fun, but what I found really helped me feel good was when I could give them like, not a profound, but like a little answer, like to be like, hey, like, or help them reflect on what they just shared with me.
Yeah.
So like the better and better I got to learn about how to communicate with people in those moments, the better I got to feel about like wanting to help people.
Yeah,
so it
yeah.
kind of steered me that way.
Oh, interesting.
So, yeah. And like I've always been like a customer service person. So it's more
Yeah.
like, yeah, and people do that too. Like when you're standing at the cashier at a pizza place, like I've heard people's
Oh, yeah.
lives in less than 2 minutes, like their entire, like I'm like their gravest sins, and I'm like, enjoy your pizza,
Sir,
like,
I'm
it's
getting
like,
paid minimum wage.
yeah, so I'm not here to
Please.
carry that for you. I'm not even, yeah, I guess you're like not even being paid to hold space, but you're holding space because you can't say anything because the
Yeah.
customer's right.
It's kind of interesting. I was also I'm thinking now about some of the past jobs I've had, and a big one, I was a teacher actually for a while, and that's one clearly you're working with students, so you're taking on a lot of emotional stuff from them and their parents.
Yes.
And then I've also, nannied for a long time when I was younger, and the family dynamics that you get to see and the things that are shared with you about marriages or about, different drama going on, the family dynamics. And now that I'm thinking about it, that's kind of an interesting thing, because I sometimes think about therapy as like a third career.
Yeah.
Because I do really love listening to people.
And that's more than half of it.
Yeah.
Much more than half. It's like active listening, curiosity. And then what's also weird is, I don't know, I'm falling into the thing where we're not discussing like, it's like, how do you deal with people at certain points in their therapy journey too? Because like there's some therapy where it's like not cheerleading, but like it kind of feels like it, where it's like you can do no wrong. I'm here to just like.
Well, I imagine for some people, this isn't me at this point in my life, but I imagine for some people, especially men, if you don't have a lot of close friendships or people to just share whatever your feelings are, that's kind of the role early on that a therapist might take, is just somebody who's, in privacy going to listen to all the things rattling around in your head.
Totally.
Which, as I think about that now, I'm like, maybe I wouldn't be a very good therapist, because that
you
might
have to
be
hold
really
space
boring.
for a lot of you have to hold space for a lot of people in very like, I don't know, I don't want to say like basic situations, but like life situations that they like have no one else to talk to about it.
Yeah, and you have to be that kind of grounding presence for people.
Yeah, which I'm excited for.
Well, art therapy is so interesting, because that's like a bit of a dynamic little flavor you get to sprinkle in there. I know. And I think interesting things come out of people in their art, especially people who think that they're not artistic.
Yes, 100% that. So my biggest thing is working with people who like never claim to be artists, who are like verdant to it, like they don't want to participate. I'm like, I really want you to participate because it's more profound.
Yeah.
Like they always are like, that brought up a lot more than I thought it would. I'm always like, yes. Now let's get into that a bit more.
Would music therapy also be part of art therapy?
It can be. It won't be for me.
Not for you. Okay.
Not for me. I'm music theory is a lot. And like,
do you play any instruments?
I used to play clarinet. I played saxophone.
Clarinet and saxophone.
Oh yeah,
band boy.
I know. Had to hang out with somebody. But yeah, I wasn't very good because I didn't like to practice.
Okay, this was in high school, I'm guessing.
Oh yeah, and
okay.
like
I was in
the
orchestra,
kid.
so I was the other side of that.
You had an orchestra.
We did, surprisingly, because
That's
I grew
awesome.
up I mostly grew up in the middle of nowhere in Southern Oregon.
What'd you play?
I still actually play. I play violin and viola.
So I need to bring my violin to you.
You have a violin?
I have a violin that I have no idea how to play.
Well, I can definitely teach you how to at least like play some scales.
Yeah. Play some scales. I'm into it because I just have this like sad little violin rotting. Not rotting. She's treated.
You keep her dry.
I do keep her dry, and I've had her serviced every now and then. I go to the old guy with the rickety hands, and he's like,
"Oh, this place up here."
Yeah.
Okay, that's legitimate.
Yeah, they are.
Oh.
They looked at me all angry. It was great.
You probably didn't rouse in your bow.
No, my bow is tragic, actually.
Yeah, the horsehair. It's kind of barbaric, actually, when you think about the things that a violin is made of.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. On all levels.
Catgut strings.
Apparently. Wait, what?
Yeah, I'm not good enough.
Catgut?
Uh-huh. I might be wrong, but I think I'm right.
I hope it's...
I don't think it's all strings are made of this, but I think like higher quality. Yeah.
Stop.
And at least they say that. Maybe it's like they used to do it that way and they don't anymore. But they definitely use the horsehair.
Cats horsehair and then taking it out of the cat. I'm trying to understand.
No, the horsehair is on the bow, right?
Yes.
And then I think it's like the catgut is in the core of the string, and that's what the metal is wrapped around. Oh. We might need to cut this later because I might be fully wrong.
Yeah, watch this. None of this is accurate.
Somebody was fucking with me when I was in orchestra class.
Yeah. Could you imagine? That's I don't want to say that's the truth of it, but
we'll find out.
Yeah, Google exists. We'll get there one day.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I used to, like in 4th grade, I started the orchestra and I went all the way through high school. And actually in college I played for a while too.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Did it ever so one of my main concerns is calluses on my fingers.
Oh, a violin won't give you calluses.
Really?
You're fine. It's not like a guitar. There's no frets. Okay. Yeah. It doesn't take a whole lot of pressure to.
Okay.
If you're playing a stand-up bass or the cello, maybe it might be a little more intense on your fingers, but a violin is teeny tiny strings. I brought up earlier how I have insomnia and I was told to read the dictionary as a child to help me fall asleep.
To help you fall asleep.
And then that sparked a memory for you.
It did, yeah. So my avoidance of trying not to kiss the last beard that I had was we went and were quarantined into her room and left.
Does everyone know what a beard is?
I think so, but I can define it.
Yeah, you should define
it's
beard.
Like when a queer person dates a heteronormative relationship, but like they know. Do they have to know for it to be a beard?
I always thought it was like if you're a gay man, for example, it's your girlfriend. And the girlfriend is not in on it.
Yes, I feel like,
or maybe it could be either.
Could
it's
they
kind
be
of just
into it? Yeah, or not
could,
into it, but on.
Right,
like
knowing what's going on.
Maybe in the old days, I feel like that was like
lesbians and gay men.
Yeah,
being each other's
saving
beards.
each other. Yeah.
I wonder if beard stands for anything, or if it's just
cultural phenomenon.
So, anyways, in high school, you had a beard who was not in on the fact that you were gay.
Love her. No, I came out as bi soon after, but to avoid kissing her, I started reading from the dictionary, which kind of
to her.
Yeah. I was like, let's learn some new words. Like, let's not kiss. Like, let's
what if we used our lips to say these things?
Yeah, kind of. Very. And then like I remember our other friends broke into the room and were like, what's happening?
Oh my God.
Here? And I was like,
I'm just reading a dictionary with my girlfriend.
Yes, that's exactly. Yeah. I don't know if
how long were you dating?
Oh, Haley Magnuson. How long did we date? It had to be over a year.
Oh my God. At what point did the dictionary reading happen?
It's a hard timeline because this was like it was high school. Because like I came out as bi.
High school is a long time.
I know. I 16, so probably when I was 15, so middle school maybe, right before.
I think 15 is freshman.
Is it
year?
Freshman?
Yeah.
Okay, so it was freshman year going into what is after
sophomore.
Freshman? Sophomore. And then sophomore, I came out as bi like a week after the
incident.
The incident.
Was she okay with that?
I think she was very supportive. When I came out as bi, she was like, "Great."
At all?
No.
Oh, so you just were like holding hands?
Never even that. Because I'm sweaty, so I'm like, don't touch me.
So it was just your friend?
Literally, I just
a
had
woman
women,
who was your friend, and she thought she was your girlfriend.
And then I would throw her name out anytime someone wanted to fight me.
That is
They were
so
like,
funny.
"You're gay," and I'm like, "Haley." "You're
Haley.
Gaily." "April." "You're gay." "Tiffany." "Sarah." "Sarah."
How many girlfriends did you have?
I had a lot, actually.
Oh my God, of course you did.
I just named those were
Oh, wait,
real
really?
names. Those were real names. Like, I just named real people out there.
Wow.
I know. Sorry, ladies. They
Okay.
know I didn't treat them bad.
Well, you didn't even touch them.
I didn't
so-
even talk to them, really. I would be like, "We're dating," and then I'd never see them again.
Wow.
Because they would be like at school, and I would be like,
Did you go to a different school?
No, I went to their school.
Oh.
Could you imagine?
I don't know.
I'm like baiting these like poor straight women in different schools
You're meeting
with
them
my cute
online.
little face. Yeah,
Yeah.
no. That wasn't a thing. It was these girls who I would always find like a shy, cute girl who was like obviously had a crush on me.
Yeah.
Cause like, I'd go up and I'd be like, "Haha, do you want to be my girlfriend?" And then
They were
they'd be
just
like,
yeah.
"Sure." And then I'd be like, "Great." And then like walk away. Like the investment is like you invested in someone who will not spend time with you.
Right. But
Which
guess
I
you-
don't think is some of them. I'm like, maybe that was their red flag. Like they shouldn't be going for men like
Yeah,
that.
they
Because
were,
some of
they
them
were
did.
14 years old, so I think they get a grain of salt.
Totally. Yeah. Or like grace.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
we can
bad
give them a little
decisions.
grace at least until they turn 16. I would say
Yeah, well then it's too late.
every girl should be a woman once they turn 16. That's what
Could
I
you
say.
imagine? No. Oh.
When you came out as bi, did you actually think you were bi, or were you knew you were gay and you were just kind of stepping stone towards being fully out as gay?
Yeah, no, I knew I was full gay.
Okay.
Even way before then I knew I was full gay. Like I had like my
Full
best
gay.
friend. Yeah, no, I had like best friends, and I had like, I don't want to say I had like fantasies, but like I would have like, I was like into my best friends.
Crushes.
Yeah. Like in kindergarten, I was like best friends with someone. Won't say your name, but he was like my first like love of my life, like where I was like, oh my God. And
So I see you throw all the women under the bus.
Oh, totally.
Name them all.
Oh, I know, but like these are like sad straight men from my childhood, and like they stopped being friends with me after I was like growing up and became more effeminate, because it was like, so like I was only friends with them until like 4th grade.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, but it was small
Yeah.
town vibes, you know. So, but he was my best friend. I was really into him. He wanted to be a vet at that time.
Like a
He definitely
animal
didn't.
doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, it was cute. I thought we would be animal doctors together.
Aww.
Power couple animal doctors, but
Aw.
it didn't happen.
And then
It's
he
okay.
friend broke up with you.
Oh yeah, well yeah. Once because all the guys that I was like hanging out with turned out to be like the football guys, like later
Oh.
in their high school life. So it just transitioned to be very different, which is fine.
Interesting.
Very fine. And then the different football ones hit on me later, but that's a different thing to
Ooh.
unpack later. I know. I wish
Yeah.
I was braver.
They got those tight little pants on.
Well, and back then it was just like I didn't realize that their bullying was probably more flirtation than I
Yeah.
gave it credit for.
Yeah.
Like looking back, I'm like, oh, that they were hitting on you, and I'm like, oh, okay. Because when I was a child, I was like, oh my God, they're going to lynch me. Like they're all going to kill me. Like they're queer baiting me to having like they want proof, and then they're all going to kill me. Like that's what I thought would
Yeah,
happen.
the
I
fear-
thought I was
fear
in
brain.
danger.
Oh,
Oh
God.
yeah, totally. But I'm glad
Where
I
was
went that
this?
way. Eatonville,
Where is
base
that?
of Mount Rainier.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
real
yeah.
small.
Real small.
Yeah.
Real small. And you grew up
That's
where?
a reasonable fear. I
You
think.
grew up here,
I grew up
Oregon,
Southern Oregon.
Southern Oregon.
Yeah, deep Southern Oregon.
Oh, okay.
Well, first born in Santa Cruz, briefly upstate New York.
Ooh.
Zooted back because we couldn't
Zooted.
afford to live in Santa Cruz anymore.
Oh, okay. What happened in New York? Why didn't you stay there?
We moved there because my mother had a little bit of a crisis and convinced my dad to sell his house,
Ooh.
their house, because they
Ooh,
were
yeah,
married.
yeah, yeah.
Sell the Santa Cruz house that probably is now worth like so much money. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Convinced him to sell that and move to upstate New York because she grew up there. So she had like her mom there. She was very religious, and there was this Pentecostal church, and we were part of that, and it was real weird They
Is that
thought
speaking in tongues?
Speaking in tongues. They thought my little sister said Yahweh.
Oh,
and thought
stop.
she was like,
so
yeah.
she's God.
Or it was,
prophet.
I was very little at this point, but yeah, it was one of those places. And then my mom had a big falling out with her mother, who was high up in the church, and then it was like a little bit of a
Whoa.
punting.
I love a Yahweh joke, though. I love a Yahweh joke.
And then, we couldn't afford to get back to California, but I had an uncle who lived in Cave Junction, Oregon,
Ooh.
and was like, this is the area to live in if there's ever a nuclear disaster. This is the safe area to be in because of the wind currents, and also it's dirt cheap.
Yeah.
So we ended up like living in a little cabin on some people's property in the woods for like a year. I was quite young again, like a year or two, and then my mom got pregnant with my brother, and so we like moved into the nearest town.
Oh, okay.
Which is Grants Pass.
Okay, so she kept
They're the
upgrading.
city that was making it illegal to be homeless and camp outside. I don't know if you heard about that. It was in the Supreme Court.
It doesn't get better.
They're real trashy
Wow.
down there. So, I grew up there. And then as soon as I was able to, when I turned 18, I moved to Portland.
Oh, okay.
The thing that sucks about Grants Pass is not only is it a shit town full of, I shouldn't say that because it's very beautiful and there are some good people down there. There truly are. But in general, the vibes are not good. And it's so far away from everything. You have to drive 4 hours to get to Portland. And you have to drive, I think, like 5 hours to get to San Francisco. So you're truly like
in between.
In the middle of nowhere off of I-5.
Yeah. Not even Ashland.
There's Ashland. Ashland's like maybe
like
an hour. Ashland's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Went
kind
to
of
the
like the little
Shakespeare
tiny
Festival.
blue freckle down
the
there.
cute little one.
Mm-hmm.
I ate sushi
It's
there
very
for
much the
first time.
vibes of like people are growing marijuana and want to protect it with guns kind of thing. It's like
Yeah. Oh, that does encapsulate that part really well.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Okay. And I think it's time for us to transition to our art activity.
Oh, yeah,
I think
our
at this
art.
point, yeah. So we'll take a break and we'll be right back. Perfect. And we're back.
hello.
And we're going to start our body scan exercise. So, Giovanna's done this before. So, we're just going to close our eyes, place our feet on the floor, take a deep breath. And we're going to start by imagining a light starting at the crown of our scalp, slowly moving down to our neck, through to our shoulders, down both of our arms, into our elbows, down to our hands and our fingertips, and then back up to our spine. We'll go through our chest, down through our stomachs, down to our hips, through our hips to our knees, down into our feet, and feel free to imagine yourself rooting into the earth. Whenever you're ready, feel free to open your eyes and start the first body scan.
And I'm drawing what came up for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whether like emotionally, physically, or like metaphysically, like there's no right answers.
Gotcha.
Right?
How many times have you done this now?
Oh, that's an interesting question.
If you had to give
It's
an
definitely in the
estimate.
20s or the 30s now.
Oh wow.
At this point. And like I do find that I actually like even if I don't have an interview planned, like this exercise it's just so easy to access.
I like it quite a lot. Yeah, that first time we did it was definitely fun.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. And then if we're ready, we can always start our painting exercise. And then just a little refresher. It's to focus on like either an emotion or like a phase in our life or like whatever we're going through right now. If you want to deal with it in any sort of way, just remember we're going to tear it up at the end. So just...
And we're doing that.
Yep,
on
in
this
between. I just do it on this.
Oh, on that
yep,
paper.
Yep, yep,
Gosh, sorry.
It's all good. And then don't forget your little painties, and we got little
yeah.
wipes.
My little wipes.
Okay.
Yeah, and feel free to start whenever. And then I'll just ask, like, so you said you're recently in therapy again.
Yes, I am.
Okay, how's that going?
Well, I had my first revamp of sessions yesterday.
Oh, okay.
And it was good. I definitely cried for most of it.
Oh, wow.
Which was good. I think I needed just like a release, because sometimes it's hard, especially when you live with your partner, when you just are dealing with something that feels so persistent and overwhelming to, because I'm aware enough to realize that my emotions and the way that they manifest affect the people who care about me. At this point in my life, I had that self-awareness. So I think I just kind of been trying to downplay.
Oh, like the effects of it on your own well-being? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, just like for me, the pain when it's really bad, it's like the very first thing I think about when I wake up in the morning. I'm like, thinking of my body and where it hurts. And then throughout the day, I'm thinking of the things I'm doing that could be making it worse or better. And it's just quite exhausting. And I can definitely go down the anxiety rabbit hole of feeling like, oh my God, is this getting worse? Is it ever going to get better? Kind of like, am I running out of things to try? What if this is my new normal? How am I going, that whole mind chatter that's just kind of scary for somebody to hear.
Totally.
So yeah, the revamp of the session was a lot of kind of me letting out a lot of my kind of really scary feelings.
And you've seen this person before?
Yeah, so I saw this person for, how long did I see her? I want to say like 6 months maybe. It's really great because I actually get to see her for free through my work.
Ooh.
And she is disabled and deals with a lot of pain herself because of her physical disability. And she sees a lot of people who are, dealing with just things that it's been helpful because it's really not that she ever does this, but she's a very good therapist. She's never like, well, this could be so much worse. But sometimes she does mention things that she herself is going through or other,
Totally.
stories. And it's kind of in some ways given me a viewpoint that I can go to when I'm in a lot of pain or I'm feeling so distraught over the fact that I can't do some of the things that I used to be able to do.
Yeah.
I'm just like, well, I literally have eyes. I can literally stand up and go for a run.
Oh, I see.
Like all these things that, because before the pain, I just literally never thought about that area of my body. I just took for granted the fact that I could kind of like, do all these different things.
And just like be.
Yeah. And, now I have to put so much thought into certain things. So it's kind of given me a lot of perspective and gratitude for the things I am able to do. Totally. So in that way, I'm kind of grateful because nothing is certain in life. Yeah. Who knows if I'm going to have that forever? Like hopefully I'll be okay.
Feel like that's something that everyone technically feels at some point because that's what our bodies are doing, like slowly over time.
Yeah.
They're breaking down.
I know.
So it's like the privilege of not being in pain for as long as you can, basically. And that's what we're all fighting.
And your body being able to do the things that you want to do. And I think for me too, like with it being kind of pelvic pain and, it affecting my, sexuality, it's affecting my ability to like do certain, like physical things just because of the pain. It's like, I've kind of had to take a step back in my identity and be like, okay, I used to be the person who like, could do all these things, and like so much of myself is tied up in these like certain
ideas of what you can do, right?
Yeah, or the things I actually just used to really love to do. Like, you know, I used to be kind of a hoe. And I'm like, I have to like be careful now. Like I have to put so much more thought into things than I used to, just
because of like injury.
Just because of like, you know, because of the pain.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's just something that not that it doesn't come naturally, but I have had to kind of like rework what those things look like for myself and learn to kind of find contentment in ways that I just didn't have to before.
Yeah, and like finding different ways to experience these, like, you know, joys in life, right? Like adjusting to what the new normal might be.
Yeah, and that's definitely something that I talked about with my therapist, you know, and she's somebody who her disability is such that it's like the ability that my body has, I'm able to do a lot more than her. And that's a conversation we've had because she's had her disability since she was quite young and how it's kind of progressed and that it's like it's just something that you have to work on is like when your new normal changes, kind of like accepting that. And I think that acceptance piece is something that I'm definitely still working on.
Yes.
But I guess that's the only thing that's constant in life is change. So
totally. Right. And the only thing we can kind of control is like our reaction to the change.
Yeah, and I think that's been something that's been helpful for me is when my pain is really severe, is kind of remembering, well, it's severe right now, but that doesn't mean it's going to be like this forever. And like even like within the span of a couple hours, this like flaring pain might kind of like ebb and flow, and kind of learning to live
between those spaces.
Yeah. And she's, you know, talking to me, you know, she thinks that somatic therapy might be a little more helpful for me given where things are at right now. And that's not something she's, I think, training in it at the moment. So if she feels like my needs go beyond what she's able to do, she might refer me out to somebody else, which will be interesting because I've never done that sort of thing before.
Okay. Somatic exercises.
Yeah, she did one for me that was like a grounding exercise of putting like my hand, you know, feeling around my body and feeling what feels really grounding, and then kind of like talking me through the breathing, and that was helpful.
Okay.
It's been really interesting, like having my major problem right now. Obviously, there's a lot of terrible things going on in the world, but in terms of my personal life, like mentally, I feel actually quite sound in a way that I haven't before, but then it's like my body's not doing so great.
Yeah.
So it's kind of an interesting thing of like my mental anguish comes from my physical body, as opposed to like before when my body was fine, it was like all my mental anguish was like dialed up in my head.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad I sorted out a lot of that before this all happened.
Twofer. Yeah, you don't want a twofer.
No, don't want a twofer.
No, not at the same time. That's rough. That's amazing. And then I just wanted to ask too, just because it is and kind of within the same realm of this chronic pain, does it also lead to maybe like discomfort doing like body scan exercises? Because it does highlight the body. So this is something that I was told to just be very aware of. Yeah,
I think for me, I think if you're going into it knowing it, so body scan is something my therapist talks about doing a lot because it is helpful, because
I see.
For me at least, the way my pain kind of manifests is it's like I'm only able, if it's really bad and I'm not doing a very good job of kind of regulating myself, it will be like my brain is only thinking about this one piece of my body and hyper focusing on like, is it burning? Is it stinging? Is it itching? Do I feel numb? Like, and that's kind of all I'm able to think about. And the body scan sort of for me at least, it's like pulling me out of that and forcing me to focus. I like the guidance part of like the light and the imagery of the different parts of the body.
Yeah.
Because it does kind of, for me at least, it helps me like zoom out a little bit and just like,
and not
okay,
be so
actually
focused.
My whole body is not a 9 out of 10. And it's kind of just in a way, it's not really distracting because it is putting you in your body.
It is.
But it does
No, I
kind of,
know.
it helps.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Because it just makes you aware that there's more real
Yeah,
estate, maybe.
And I could imagine there might be another side of that where maybe for somebody, if they're just trying to like, if it's really bad or if it's something they don't want to think about and
or
it's
like
drawing
traumatic.
yeah, and it's drawing
Totally.
attention to it.
I know.
Yeah.
It's a interesting fine line.
Uh-huh.
But I don't know. I'm kind of like where I'm standing at now. But I'm a student, so what's great is I'm allowed to like make mistakes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So my standing kind of lies with pushing past people's initial worry for body scans, because you only get one body.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like there's a lot of importance in rekindling with our bodies. I don't know. I've been talking to a lot of interesting people who are going through like transitional journeys or gender journeys or other ones like that, where I feel like there's like an active, because there's a dysmorphia with your own body,
and
right?
I actually talked about this with my therapist yesterday, where I imagine, I mean, it's very different from somebody dealing with body dysmorphia in a way, but it's kind of similar because for me, I'm like, it's like I feel like my body is like my enemy almost. It's like I'm me and my brain, and my body is this thing that is failing me and is not responding to treatments. It's not doing what I want it to do. And it's this source of like anguish.
That's
when it's really in that negative thought spiral. And so I think, working on healing that is definitely something that I would like to continue to work on.
Yeah,
Obviously,
like
I would love if
bond.
like the pain could just stop and I could actually figure a physical thing to like take care of that, and I am doing that. But then on the other side, it's like, well, you can't immediately have that right now. So like in the interim, how can we kind of help you not hate yourself?
Yeah, totally. And I just wanted to also say we have a moment whenever if you wanted to showcase your art and say kind of the vibe behind it, feel free. You also don't have to.
Yeah. I think this was just, I think I've had a lot of mind chatter going on. And I feel yesterday during my therapy session, there was a lot of tears and a lot of kind of almost like steam escaping. And I think a lot of it got out, and there's definitely like still some in there. So this is just like a little explosion of all the little thoughts and little pieces of my focus that I feel are a little chaotic at the moment.
Thank you for sharing. Yes. And I just I did a lot of like ombre-y mixing today. So I'm always like, the colors are obviously always rainbow, but I've been going through a lot recently. Yeah, I had we went to like a funeral thing, and then we had I went to a stressful trip up to Canada. Talk about that later, podcast. But it's so I'm just trying to reestablish, and I'm in a time right now in between my grad program, in between jobs, I feel in between so many things. So I felt like
nebulous.
And that the kind of hues all mixing together kind of fit what I'm feeling. So this is what I got. And whenever I'm going to tear into it.
Up.
Yeah. And then if you want, I know you're not into ASMR, but like.
That's okay. I don't have to listen to it.
Yeah.
Do we throw it?
Yeah, wherever. And then I'm just going to do this.
Give me that wet wipe.
Yeah, get that wet wipe. As many as you need.
Nice.
Yeah. And then we'll transition to the second body scan right after.
All right.
Perfect. Then if wherever we're ready, we'll close our eyes, set our feet down. We'll imagine a light starting at the crown of our head, slowly going down our skull, down into our neck, slowly into our shoulders, down to both of our elbows and our hands and our fingertips, back into our upper back, slowly moving down our chest and our stomachs, down to our hips, through to our knees, down to our feet. And if you'd like to vision roots taking place in the earth, please do. Whenever you're ready, open your eyes. Feel free to start the second exercise. So
Or would you do longer if it's an actual?
Yeah, so it depends. For some people, they've definitely asked for longer ones. So I'll usually pivot to whatever people's preferences are. But usually, for this specific exercise, like I think a faster one is just more appropriate.
Yeah.
Whereas like I think if I ever went into session in the future practicing, I assume I would take much more time for body scans. It would just be, yeah, I mean, I feel like it conduces to, especially if you're doing two as well. I think like one brief one just to familiarize someone with the concept, and then to do a second one that's like really takes your time, maybe even laying on the floor and like having
Those
like a
reminded
full,
me a little bit of yoga.
yeah, totally. And like just the way that I feel like people can engage with like truly honing in on listening to their body, because we don't do that enough in our daily lives. I don't think many people are doing that. I was even hearing some interesting research regarding like using soundproof headphones all the time. It's making us it's harder for us to basically filter out sound now.
Oh,
Like, so we're people who use soundproof headphones for
that's
over
me, baby.
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't.
Yeah, for over 8 hours a day or 6 hours a day. Your brain is losing the function to like shut out background noise. Basically, you're training your brain to like expect noise canceling headphones.
Oh,
I know, isn't that kind of crazy?
to filter out background noise.
Yeah, because your brain will do it for you.
Yeah.
Because it's unnecessary information, but you're training your brain to no longer get used to the input of random sound. So it's interesting. It's like for some people, it's like a saving grace, right? It's like, oh, I can be in public with a noise canceling headset because it like allows me to like not be so caught up in those extra signals. Whereas for like a neurotypical person who might need that, you know, to have your brain keep practicing like not critical thinking, but it's like basically filtering out all the extra and being able to like know what's important. Our brains do crazy things, basically.
Yeah, I often wonder because I am someone who I work from home, and so I always have like a podcast or something playing in the background, and I do wonder if I should try to just not do that so much, just because
I've heard
there's no quietness.
I don't know about that. That's an interesting question.
Just in my brain, because it's like if you're paying attention to
is
a
it
podcast,
in the outside, like it's in life, like you put it on like on a radio
sometimes, or I'll put it on my like with my headphones in too.
See, I think headphones, if you're doing that every single day for over 6 hours, I'd say it's
probably
what
not
I
6 hours,
read.
but it's probably a lot.
But you know what I mean, though. Like it has to be pretty intensive, and like you're not seeking out anything else. And I think also, this is all those like internet articles that aren't necessarily scientifically tested. did, so I'm not like gonna endorse it. I just thought it was an interesting.
Yeah. It kind of makes sense.
Yeah. And then what day is it today? I don't even remember.
Is it the 13th?
The 13th.
It's the
So
13th.
3/13.
Oh, are we supposed to write that on there?
Oh yeah. Well, I just date them because then we're just very transparent with our viewers here. They always know what day it actually is when we record. Since we had a 2-week break, I mean, hey, you know, and then we'll do our usual. You don't have to show it up, but we'll take a photo and we'll show up on the screen like we have before. Yes. And then we'll segue into our last part.
Last part.
Yes.
Yay.
Thank you. Perfect. Welcome back.
Hello.
And yeah, how was that exercise again? So you haven't done it in quite a while.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. I think last time there was no talking during it, so I feel like this time I was a little maybe less
like honed in
on
Yeah.
it, but I enjoyed it a lot. I love finger painting. Any chance I can get my little fingers covered in paint, I'm gonna take it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I liked it.
Good. I'm glad. And then hopefully we can, I'll maybe do a research project later and might throw you back in
Yeah,
in
I
the
love
net.
that.
Yeah.
I like the imagery of the roots, the rooting of the feet.
Every time. Yeah. So what's funny is I heard that on, I was initially at an art therapy summit. There was a woman who did that for the her own body scan. We had
The
like
rooting.
yeah, they were like, oh, does someone in the class want to like do the body scan exercise? And she did that in the first one, and like for me it was just like it like hit my
Tingled
brain
something.
in the yeah, it
nice.
just got my brain in the right place where I was like, ooh, like it's cool to like, I don't know, incorporate our wellness and our like our own body to like the imagery of like becoming one with earth is like, I don't know, to me really healing.
Yeah.
Like it takes me to a place of being like, oh, maybe I'm a plant. like it gives me that like suspension of reality, you know, to like I don't know, wish for better things.
Yeah, I always love a good like yoga teacher voice telling me like things melting. That sort of
Yeah.
imagery is really comforting to
Or
me.
like when
if
you
I'm
enter
trying to-
baby shavasana.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I
Little
love me a
corpse
baby.
pose.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, I wanted to ask, how did you nick me?
Yeah, we met. So I used to live up in Vancouver,
Mm-hmm.
and during the pandemic, I was living there. I was working at a restaurant, and it was like when things were a little bit open, so you could
Mhm.
still go to a restaurant, but they were limiting the amount of people on the tables. So I was
Yep.
waiting in line to see if I could get a beer after work, and it was taking a long time. And this girl showed up, standing behind me, and then I learned from the waitress that it was going to be like a 20-minute wait or something. So I turned to this girl because we'd been chatting a little bit, and I said, oh, guess it's going to be a 20-minute wait. And she goes, oh, you know, I'm like waiting for my Tinder date. This guy's running late. I'm new in town. Do you want to just go somewhere else? And it was COVID at the time, and I was like, oh my God, another person talking to me. Like it was so me and this girl, her name's Sarah, we ended up going to like a different bar, and we hung out all night.
Wow.
Got very drunk. We like went back to her apartment. We were on her mattress watching like skateboarding Alp videos like on her projector. It was very cool. She's a really awesome person. And then, you know, like I woke up at 2 a.m. I'm like, oh, I gotta go home. I shouldn't be doing this. Cause you know, there was all the it was very still kind of like lockdowny time. So I went home and we stayed in touch, but we didn't see each other a whole lot.
Okay.
And then, unbeknownst to me, this girl, Sarah, is part of a friend group that Nick is part of.
Oh, okay.
And Nick's my partner.
Mutual
People
friend.
listening. Yeah.
Yeah.
So fast forward like 2 years or something, I end up getting a job in Seattle. So
Mhm.
I'm having a going away party with all my friends in Vancouver. I'm about to move to Seattle. And Sarah's there, and she's like, oh, I actually know like one person who lives in Seattle. We go snowboarding together. I later find out that she'd only met Nick like 2 times, but she's such a nice person. She was like, oh, you guys would probably get along.
Mm-hmm.
And then I moved here, and I think I had his Instagram. So I just messaged him being like, hey, I'm this random person you don't know.
Yeah. Let's hang out.
And he was actually in France like, or leaving to France. So I didn't meet him for a little while. And then he came back, and then I went out to meet him, and he was with some of his roommates. And I had actually like never seen him because his Instagram is just, it's called No More Food Snaps, and it's just full of plates of empty food.
Yep.
So I had no idea what he looked like.
That's
and
right.
I showed up at this bar, and they wouldn't let me in because of my Canadian ID. And so he ended up having to like chug a pitcher of beer that they had ordered. And he and his roommates, because they didn't want beer, I guess, I don't know. The three of them and myself went to another bar that would let me in. And yeah, we hung out. And I was like, oh, this person's like nice. Didn't think anything of it.
Okay.
He was dating somebody else at the time. And then, yeah, there was a trip to Mexico to actually go visit that friend that connected us, that person, Sarah, because she had moved to Mexico. And so I was going to go visit her, and then unbeknownst to me, like Nick and that group of friends were going to visit her also. And we coordinated. So we went the same weekend. And again, like I was not thinking anything. I was dating somebody else at the time, wasn't thinking anything of it. And then like a couple months later, he and that girlfriend that he had been with, they broke up, and still didn't like think too much of it. He started reaching out to me a little bit more like on Instagram just to like hang out. And I think he was like out of this relationship and was just like trying to hang out with anybody.
Yeah.
And I had like a nice big group of friends. So, and everybody, he's such a likable guy. Like
he really
everybody gets along with him.
I love Nick.
I was hanging out with us more. And there was one night where we went out to go dancing, and he had like gotten a haircut, and I think he'd just gotten like a little healthier, and he had like this cute little shirt on, and I was like, oh, Nick's actually like kind of cute. And I hadn't really like thought of that before. And then I think like the next week, this mutual friend Sarah messaged both of us separately to be like, you guys are hanging out a lot.
Ooh,
and it kind of put, I think it put like, I was like, oh, I guess so, but I think he's just like really
but
nice.
Like the first seed to be planted.
And then unbeknownst to me, she like said the same thing to him, so I think it was
oh
like
my
there
God.
too. I know, yeah,
Sarah.
She's great. Then so that happened, and then I had my birthday party. So I was turning 27.
Ooh, was yours the big one that we all went to?
Were you there? I don't think I knew you at that time.
Oh, okay. This wasn't okay.
It was it would have been 2023.
Different house party.
Yeah. It was when I lived
I only went to your last one.
Oh, I lived in a different house at the time.
Yep.
Yeah, I hadn't met you yet.
That's okay.
But I remember it was kind of a wonderful moment because I'd been going to ACA, and I'd kind of realized this pattern of like, okay, I am entertaining people in dating and my romantic, endeavors who, like, I was just noticing this pattern of like, okay, even though I don't really like some of these people, I am like keeping them around. Oh. And I think there's some sort of thing here where I don't know if it exactly what it was, but I was just noticing this in myself. And so I had this thought of like, at this birthday, I am just not going to invite anybody who I have any sort of mixed feelings about. Ooh, or who I think might have any mixed feelings about me. Like, totally. I only want people here who I know I get along with, who I know I'm going to have a good time with. And so I did that. And so like there was like certain people I didn't invite, and it's kind of fun because like I think about that decision to do that, and I'm like so grateful I did, because that was the night that, we had my party. It was so fun. We went to my house. We went to Kremwork, danced at Kremwork. It was all drum and bass music. It was terrible. And then we went, I'm getting more and more, intoxicated. And then we ended up, the group of us went to Asylum back when it was at the Bartels. Yeah. So it was like when it had just opened. So we showed up, and it was like, there was a like piece of wood we had to move to like go into this, abandoned Bartels that was a rave, and I didn't realize at the time it was a Bartels. Oh, and I was like, what is this place? Like my friend Ryan had brought us there. Yeah. And yeah, we wow, had a really good time, and I ended up asking Nick if I could go home with him.
Love that.
Because I was pretty intoxicated, and I was like, the previous birthday that same thing had happened, and I had gone to home by myself, and I had a really just like a very sad night. And this, I think I was just like, I want to like go to sleep next to somebody. And so yeah, we did that, and we went to sleep, and then in the morning we were like, oh,
maybe
this is nice.
Yeah.
And that's how it started, as
cute.
dating.
How long has it been now? 3 years? 4?
No, it's
More?
been less. I've only been
Less.
living in Seattle like 2.5 years. So we've been dating
Oh.
coming up on 2 years.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Mhm.
I'm just old.
No, you're just.
Well,
I think we're
in
very
time-
at peace. Well, because we knew each other for a year before that. It's
Yeah.
like we already knew each other quite well, and we had like I'd never dated anybody before who was like a friend,
Oh,
first.
okay. Yeah.
which is very nice.
Yeah.
I don't think you can like plan on those things happening.
No,
I certainly didn't. But
that's not how that works.
yeah,
But it's okay.
I know.
Nice.
And it's been, it's definitely the best relationship I've ever been in. He's
Nice.
really lovely.
I'm here for it. I don't want to say it's it's dependent on the D&D table staying alive, but it also might be.
The D&D, the campaign, we can't ever break up.
No,
because,
you'd have to we'd have to talk about it. It'd be a whole
everybody
table
would need to
discussion.
vote, actually.
Yeah, actually it's a D20 roll. For both of you, it's a charisma check.
Yeah,
Oh.
no, it's been really good. And I think we also because when we first got together, he had, somewhat recently gotten out of a kind of heavier relationship. And so he was very upfront about that. And but I was also like, yeah, totally.
He's always been pretty frank.
Yeah. And I think I was at a point too, where I was also like, yeah, I mean, you're my friend. And I didn't expect this to happen. That's okay. I enjoy being around you. And then at a certain point, I just told him okay, well, if you don't see this going anywhere, I would like to know that, because I'm looking for something more serious. It doesn't have to be with you, but I would like it to be with you. And if you don't feel this growing in a certain way, you just let me know, please.
Yeah.
And I think
ASAP.
it kind of put that ball in his court. So now, because before I think I would have been a little, I don't know, would have just been a little too anxious to have that conversation, or would have just kind of been like, well, if I say that, then they're just going to leave. And at that point in my life, I was like, I trust you, but also if you do that, I'm going to be fine. It's going to be okay.
Totally.
And yeah, I think he was at a point where he was just ready to
take a chance.
He clearly he clearly enjoyed our time together. And I think he saw, something there. And now we're still together. It's really nice.
Yay.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Are you interested in shouting out any social media of yours, or would you prefer to remain anonymous?
I'm not a big social media user.
Oh, okay. Because we can always link it if you want it. If you
I
don't,
can put my Instagram.
yeah. And then we'll do a little cute thing where it's like, blah, 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 it's there. Other than that, well, thank you so much for spending the time today. And I hope we'll see you again soon in the future. And we'll get Nick on here. We talked about him so much.
Nick.
Okay.
Yeah, the cutest little bi boy in all of Seattle.
He
We
really
love
is,
him.
though. I know. Gotta
He's
bring
so
his little
cute.
mullet.
He's got to grow the mullet back out.
I know.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
he looks very business ready right now.
He
It's
does.
nice. It's nice. I like it.
All
But-
right. Well, thank you so much. This was
Yeah.
really lovely.
Good. Glad you had every here. And bye, everyone at home.
Bye.
Bye.